My name is H.J. Goodman, and I'm an author, columnist, and journalist. Hit subscribe right now, because there aren't many, well, I shouldn't say there aren't many, but there aren't many people in media. There aren't a great many people in media who are looking at President Trump to meet Kim Jong-un after North Korea and saying this is a paradigm-changing moment. He deserves the Nobel Peace Prize for this. Even, God forbid, if the talks don't, fall through, just reaching this point, he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. Hit subscribe right now, because if you're tired of CNN, you're tired of MSNBC, you're tired of all of these just DNC extensions of the Democratic National Committee, there needs to be somebody addressing this momentous, historic, grandiose, just unbelievable occasion. And I know there are, but let me read you this. So hit subscribe. We're over 115, almost at 116,000 subscribers, and we're on our way to 120,000 subscribers. President Trump to meet Kim Jong-un of North Korea. President Trump and Kim Jong-un of North Korea will hold the first ever meeting between leaders of their two countries on Tuesday morning in Singapore, carrying with them hopes of ending 7 decades of hostility and the threat of a nuclear confrontation. At stake is the American goal of ridding North Korea of its nuclear arsenal, Mr. Kim's desire to remove American weapons from the Korean peninsula and to be recognized as a player on the world stage, and the international desire to ease the North's provocations, poverty, and extreme isolation. The most important issue, obviously, is peace between North and South Korea. Since 1953, they've had a war. It was a ceasefire. It was never peace. It was a ceasefire. And so, what does Trump, even if you disagree with Trump, how is he being received by Hollywood or De Niro or Bill Maher? Bill Maher wants a recession. De Niro tells him to F himself. And this is all like hours or days before an historic peace between hopefully an historic peace or peace talks, the Korean summit between the United States and North Korea. I'm going to ask everyone this question, especially if you think I'm nuts or if you think I'm like, oh, why are you voting for Trump in 2020? Well, did you ever think this was possible? Did you ever, in your wildest dreams, think this was, even if you voted for Trump, did you think that he would be meeting with Kim Jong-un on June 11th and June 12th? Or June 12th, 2018, it'll take place. And he doesn't deserve the Nobel Peace Prize? Of course he does. Of course he does. They celebrated Obama's Iran deal, which is like the worst deal ever. They engaged in 23 ballistic missile tests. That's the whole point. Well, when there were issues, big grave concerns with North Korea, is that they were testing ballistic missiles. Iran is allowed to test like 23. And it's okay. It's part of the nuclear deal. Then we found out that Obama's administration secretly allowed, $7 billion back to Iran, even though Obama's administration lied to Congress about that. And then, oh, by the way, military sites are off limits for the nuclear regulators. So, what did Obama do aside from destroy Libya, call ISIS JV? We can go on forever. And then drone the whole planet and get us into Yemen, by the way. People talk about, people on the left like, oh, Yemen, okay. Who got us in there? A Democrat. A liberal. So yeah, I want Trump to actually bring home all our soldiers, but he's less hawkish. I'm going to say this again so people will understand. Well, how could you vote for Trump, H.A.? You were the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet. That's what the Huffington Post said. I was the biggest Bernie Sanders. I was published 100 times just regarding Bernie Sanders articles alone in the Hill, Huffington Post, and Salon, over 100 times. And how could somebody be a hardcore Bernie bro or Bernie supporter and then vote for Trump because he's less hawkish. That's one reason. He's exposing the FBI and Andrew McCabe. My segment before this one explains why Andrew McCabe will get indicted. The writing's not just on the wall. It's like a neon flashing light. McCabe's going to get indicted. But this is just unbelievable. Both leaders arrived in Singapore on Sunday. Mr. Trump, fresh from a clash with American allies. It's so stupid. American allies. They need us more than we need them. Number one. Number two, they're okay. They engage in protectionist policies also. There's one and I'm wearing a Rush shirt, which is a Canadian band. Great band, awesome band. Canada's a great country, but they engage in protectionist policies. They control the output and the prices of the dairy, milk, dairy and poultry and eggs, and then they're going to pontificate about Trudeau's going to pontificate about free trade. It doesn't really work that way. And then there's a Guardian article here, and they're like, well, we're going to protect our industry from Trump. Well, that's the whole point of the downside of free trade. Industries, unfortunately, have to adapt. That's actually what they always say, industries have to adapt. Industries have to adapt. Oh, well, that's just the over in the long run it's better for you, but then you can't say, well, you have to engage in free trade, but we're just going to protect certain sectors that we really care about. It makes no sense. It's illogical. It's hypocritical. But anyway, so they try to make this out to they try to make his G7 not signing the G7 statement as this whole big thing. And then there's Robert De Niro, and I believe that he had to have timed this right before the Korean summit. And I don't know, the Tony Awards, but I don't know why De Niro would have done that. I have a segment before this one. Why would he have done that? Right before an historic meeting of two former adversaries. They're not even, technically, but not like they were before. Clinton, ring China missile defense. Okay, so Clinton warned the U.S. would ring China with missile defense. Okay, this is what we could have had if Trump didn't win. Thank God Trump won. Now, I voted for Jill Stein, but if I could go back, I'd vote for Trump. Because Trump is not only, I don't think with Jill Stein or Bernie, definitely not with Clinton, you would have had this. I love Bernie, but unfortunately Bernie would have been not only bullied or controlled by, let's just say, Republicans. Let's just assume Republicans didn't try to alter his vision. Democrats would have undermined him. And we already have seen Bernie not fight back. So I love him as a human being, but he doesn't fight. He doesn't fight back. But here's Clinton. She fights for all the wrong reasons for herself. Clinton warned the U.S. would ring China with missile defense. Well, that's exactly why Obama never got close to a meeting with Kim Jong-un. U.S. Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton said in a private speech to bankers 3 years ago, she would never in a million years tell the average person. Where are Trump's hidden speech transcripts? He wants people to hear what he says. You might not like what he says, but he wants people. So does Bernie. So does Jill. So does, there are politicians who want to be heard, and then there's Clinton, who only wanted to be heard when it was absolutely, the narrative or the message was absolutely tailored and targeted and marketed and controlled. U.S. Democratic President, this is from Reuters, 2016, U.S. Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton said in a private speech to bankers 3 years ago that the United States had warned Beijing it would ring China with missile defense unless it did more to rein in North Korea's missile program. So not only did she fail, and did Obama fail at... not only did they fail at any type of diplomacy with North Korea, but they then basically threatened to attack or to ring China with missile defense, which would harm relations with China. So they dropped the ball twice. According to a purported Clinton campaign document attached to an email published by WikiLeaks, Clinton said in a speech, and this is why we need WikiLeaks. Do you think the New York Times or the Washington Post, even if they had Clinton's speech transcript, would have let people know? No, they would not. They would not. It's just a cult mentality. Clinton said in a speech to Goldman Sachs on June 4, 2013, the message to China had been, you either control them or we're going to have to defend against them. So Trump tweets, oh, Rocket Man or whatever, and liberals or people on the left, oh my God, Democrats, you're creating a nuclear confrontation. Then when he meets Kim Jong-un and does the impossible, it's not going to work. You know what? You're going to get duped, and this is going to be bad for us. They don't know. They don't have their propaganda changes, does a 180 every second. They don't even know how to disparage Trump, because Trump is always like turning the tables on them. Oh, Trump is not being friendly to our allies. And then the flip side is he's protecting U.S. farmers and U.S. steel industry. Oops. There goes swing states for Democrats. Oops. So Trump is this madman. He's going to bring us to the nuclear confrontation with Kim Jong-un. Oops. Now there's an historic peace. Well, Trump worked with Russia. Oh, yeah. Well, now McCabe's going to get indicted, and Comey, and the Inspector General report's going to come out, and all FISA abuses, Clinton email investigation, all of these things. Oh, well, he committed crimes too. Well, really? What? He hasn't even been accused of a crime. He hasn't even been accused of a crime. Clinton actually committed crimes. And Comey was like, well, she didn't mean to do it. So they're meeting, and it's just, I'm in my early 40s, so it's like, I remember when there was a Cold War. You know, if you grew up in the 80s, it was basically the last decade where, you could remember that the Soviet Union was aiming nuclear weapons at you. And then we were aiming nuclear weapons at them. And you could remember that, oh, okay. And especially if you're a Korean American or you live in South Korea or North Korea, they had a war every day. It was a ceasefire. There was tension. There have been tensions. There's still tensions now, but the DMZ it's a ceasefire. The two countries were at war since 1953. And now we have a chance for peace between North and South Korea. Obviously, Moon Jae-in of South Korea deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. I think Kim Jong-un also deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, and I would say that Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. If Obama can get it for nothing, for just nothing, he didn't do anything. Then he destroyed Libya, and he got us into war zones everywhere. And he kept us in Iraq and Afghanistan when he ran on pulling soldiers out. That's one reason I loved Obama. I've gotten duped and deceived by a number of candidates on the left. First Obama, twice. I don't want to say I got deceived by Bernie, but I love the guy as a person, human being, but you have to fight. If you cheated, you have to fight. Okay? And one thing about Bernie Sanders, people say, well, how can you go ahead and vote? Again, single payer was one aspect, and the Democrats don't care about single payer, number one. And number two, breaking up too big to fail banks, reinstating Glass-Steagall, bringing home soldiers from wars, or ending perpetual quagmires. At least ending quagmires, you get closer with that with Trump than Hillary Clinton. Neither Trump or any Democrat will break up banks or reinstate Glass-Steagall, which is what I would want, which is what I wanted and still advocate. But at least you get hopefully a peace between North and South Korea. That's unheard. It was impossible. It was an impossible dream under Obama, and would have been absolutely like the opposite of what would have taken place with Clinton. Clinton has not had a foreign policy success in her life. Her claim to fame is surviving Bosnian sniper fire, and the footage shows she was receiving flowers. And there's a post-truth moment with Trump. Give me a break. Give me your thoughts below. President Trump is meeting Kim Jong-un, and we could have had, ringing China with missile defense with Clinton. We could have had a threatening China to rein in North Korea with Clinton. Now we have, an unprecedented. This is actually, in many ways, even more important. It actually is more important than Nixon meeting Mao in China, because there wasn't really the threat of a nuclear confrontation. With North Korea, there was constant, threat. They were constantly threatening South Korea, constantly threatening the U.S. We were threatening them. So it was like a mini Cold War, ongoing. Give me your thoughts below. Share this segment everywhere. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. By the way, I have a Second Amendment channel, and it is below. If you're into firearms, and I have a treat for everybody this week, but if you're into firearms, my latest segment is awesome. Best grouping thus far. Smith & Wesson 9mm M&P. I like it better than the Glock 17 and 19, and I love Glocks. Glock 17, 19, or 9mm. I like the M&P better. I like the Smith & Wesson better. I didn't know that Smith & Wesson made such amazing semi-autos. But that's just, give me your thoughts below if you're interested in firearms. And I abide by YouTube policies, and obviously state and federal laws, but mainly just safety, firearms, enjoying them safely and responsibly. Give me your thoughts below. That segment is below. Give me your thoughts. Share this segment everywhere. Subscribe to H.A. Goodman on YouTube and H.A. Second Amendment if you're into gun channels on YouTube. Thank you so much for